Tour Vision, coming to talk to us today about virtual tours, ins and outs, etc. And from there, um, they're going to be presenting, information you need to know, apps you might want to use, etc. It should be very engaging and informative, especially in this time of COVID-19. Virtual tours is getting more and more important. So you will notice down at the bottom of your screen, there's a little Q&A box. A couple of you have already asked it, have already asked some questions. That is where you will post your questions. I will be fielding the questions and I will be posing them to our panelists at an appropriate time. So please keep your questions coming, and we will get them to our speakers. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jason LaVanture of Realtor Vision, who is the primary moderator and organizer of this event on the Realtor Vision. So Jason, please take it over, and thank you again for your entire team for being here today.
Oh, wow. Dan, thank you for having us. And hello, everybody. As Dan said, I'm Jason LaVanture. I was thinking today that I've actually been a part of the virtual tour industry now for more than half of my life, and that's a long time. We started RTV back in 1999, and it's been an amazing journey watching the industry evolve from little 3x5 note card size virtual tours on your screen to now full screen mobile experience and 3D dollhouses and walkthroughs and property sites and more. So today I'm going to kind of go through, I'm going to take just a little bit of time. We got a great presentation. We've got, I'm going to go through the different types of tours that are out there. And a lot of those can be found in pretty much any virtual tour company's gallery. I always recommend that you look at the gallery or examples, and you can kind of see what a technology is all about. So today we're going to go through the different kinds of tours, and then Jake here at Realtor Vision is going to show us how to build a walkthrough tour. Beth Nixon is going to go through how to do best practices on taking your photos, and Frank Polly is going to talk about the value of professional drone and photography and virtual tours. So we've got a packed show here for you. The very first thing I'm going to go through, and really determining what kind of virtual tour you want is really, it's just a preference. And some people truly like just the slideshow style tours, so I figured I would start with that today because those can be very effective. Slideshow virtual tours, this tour I'm showing you here is done down in Miami. This sold for the person that took these photos and created this, charged upwards of $500–600. And these are very high-end real estate agents that really love the simplicity of just a slideshow tour. And so there's definite value here of keeping it simple. That's really what I love about the nature of the slideshow tour. It's just, it's beautiful with beautiful pictures, agent information. They can be very effective. And usually in most technologies, there's a way to dig down and click a button and gather more information, where it's located, the weather, what is the school information, a little gallery of stills and stuff. And of course, always a way to contact the listing agent is a very important part of what should be on any type of virtual tour. So, so slideshow tour I kicked off today with, and it's definitely still out there and still popular. We saw back as soon as video became a big thing, the advent of the walkthrough virtual tour, and of course now it's drone. And so a lot of the virtual tour technologies are capable of actually this full motion video. And Dan, I don't know how the playback looks because we are streaming this. It may be a little jittery for some of you, but Dan will be providing a list of links so you can look at some of these and determine what flavor you really like best. But they all have their purpose. this would be a full video walkthrough that kind of combines a walkthrough footage with either a gimbal. You can do these with a cell phone. You can do these, some people walk a drone right through the property, and that's seriously it's happening out there where you just carry the drone through a house and you utilize the gimbal on the drone and you capture the amenities of the property and show it in its best light. So another type of virtual tour that's gained in popularity is this video walkthrough, and there's a playhead down here so you can kind of skip around and stuff and go from one area to the next. But video is incredibly popular. We probably see in terms of on our servers, we have several thousand new tours get uploaded to our servers each month, and probably about 25 to 30% of those now have full motion video like this as a part of the tour. And I think it's great. I think video is a great way to showcase just as well as still photos. So the rest of the photos in this tour, I believe, are just still photos. So
Jason,
moving on. Yes, sir.
we have a question. And first of all, I will re-edify what you had said. The videos are showing up here really nicely on, at least on my end, on the webinar. They are a little bit choppy, but I do have a PDF that Jason has kindly supplied that I think if you take the PDF and go directly to the links, you won't see that choppiness and it'll be a lot smoother. And then the other question that I had from the audience, from Marcia, she wants to know what is a gimbal, because a lot of people, me included, might not have the technical knowledge of what some of these pieces of equipment are.
Yeah, thank you. And that's I'm glad that she asked that. So a gimbal is a piece of hardware that would be on a camera that keeps the video from looking choppy, and it adjusts. It's usually got a gyro built into it, and it allows the camera to everything look nice and smooth, I think is the most basic way to describe what a gimbal does. And they have handheld gimbals. They have things that you can, here in fact, you can cell phone camera gimbal. You can Google these, and this is what they look like. Let me go to images here, and we can probably zoom in on that. And they would look something like this. This is a DJI phone gimbal that your cell phone goes in, and this is all a little motorized gyro, and it keeps it steady. That's the best way to describe it. It keeps your footage steady. You can pick these things up for under $100 now. Yeah, right there, 79 at Best Buy, and they're just stabilizers. It stabilizes your video footage. So the next type of tour that we really started seeing rise in popularity are these walkthrough style tours, and I really like these a lot. You can look up, you can look down. This is a panoramic photo, and if you put your mouse over these little arrows, you see, hey, I'm going to go into the sunroom here, and you can move around. And these are created using either a one-shot camera, or if you want to take the longer route, you can use a fisheye lens with photo stitching. That is not for the faint of heart. It is much more difficult. We could help you with that, but it's we've got 20 years of experience stitching photos together. But the easiest way to do it is what Jake's going to show you here in just a little bit, how to create a walkthrough tour like this using a single shot camera. And just for those of you that are curious, we do have some recommended camera equipment that I believe is on the page that I sent Dan, and there's a bunch of one-shot cameras here. There's a bunch of one-shot tripods. I should probably add a gimbal or two on here, but there's some good resources here if anyone is interested in checking that out. But these are all created by taking these one-shot photos, and then you link them together with hotspots, creating a walkthrough style tour. Now, the advent of floor plans has made walkthrough tours even more interesting because in the last few years, we've seen several companies say, hey, guess what? You can put a floor plan on your virtual tours. And Planomatic is big with this. Floor Plans Online is another company that does floor plan tours. Of course, Matterport puts a dollhouse floor plan on the tour. We've been floor plan compatible for years at RTV, and this gives you an idea of what you can do with just still photos in a floor plan. And notice how the little blue dot will change. That's a pretty common practice with companies that allow for floor plans on your virtual tours. As a user, I can nix the floor plan and make it go away, or I can click a button and make the floor plan come back. So when you click on, okay, I want to go over here and look at the bedroom scene 1, I want to look at bedroom scene 2. So this is very common how all of these would work in the industry. Personally, I really like this because it gives me a sense of space. And if you're listing this home, you could bring this up and really talk someone through the property and say, okay, you know what, click on the laundry room, and that's going to be main floor laundry. It's highly convenient. You could talk about each scene as you're going through it and really give people a sense of space. So it's pretty cool. If you do combine panoramics into your floor plan, so this is one of those 360s that we were talking about just a moment ago, most virtual tour technologies will provide you with a field of view, which I think this is great. Okay, this is, now I'm looking at the kitchen. See how you've got the radar here. And in our particular technology, you can actually grab the radar and you can kind of steer it around and stuff. Real neat stuff, but I love the floor plan tours. I think that they really, really have added a lot. So still photo tours, still photos with video, and of course, mixed media tours are the kind of tours that would combine really everything. And those are probably what we see the most of at RTV. And when I say mixed media, I mean combining everything that I just said into one production. Still photos, here you're seeing full motion video from a drone. And then I'm going to skip ahead here, and I believe there's a couple more still photos, and then it goes right into, this is a beautiful house. I love this house. And then it goes into what you see, the little mouse instructor. Now that's telling us that we can pan up, we can pan down and scroll. So 360s, and this one in particular does not have a floor plan on it, and it doesn't have the little dots to move from scene to scene, but in most technologies you can add all of that in. So any questions right now before I dive into Zillow 3D home tours?
Yeah, Jason, Craig would like to know, or could you provide a definition of what a one-shot camera is?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Craig. If you go to Google and you type in single shot camera, you're going to find a lot of options. And well, you know what? Probably better to type in 360 camera, and you're going to get a lot of these. Now, I'm just going to tell you all, depending on when you watch the recording of this show, these could be very difficult to get. I only have 2 that I highly recommend, even though there are several on our website under, if you go to recommended camera equipment. I really have 2, and I've tried most of these personally, and so has Jake Mulcahy, who's on the show with us today. We've both tried a lot of these. We've tried the Nikon Key Mission. We've tried the GoPro Fusion, the Ricoh 5, the Panono, the Insta360s, the Z1. We've got 2 favorites. These are cameras that will take one photo of an entire room, and they'll capture that in that 360-degree view in one picture. There's no stitching required. It's really changed the way you can. It used to be only professional photographers could do this stuff, and now, if you have the budget, the Z1, and these are really hard to get, folks. They're out of stock. You can't get these right now. Actually, it looks like Adorama has them right now, believe it or not. And that's probably not going to last long. I'm surprised that this is in stock. If you're on the show, I would I would grab this. This is I've been waiting for one to come in for about 60 days now. So these are really hard to get, and that's all being driven by COVID. So it's not easy to get these. They're on B&H Photo. Let me see if they're in stock. No, they're back ordered. Request stock alert. See, back ordered. So they're not easy to get. Looks like Adorama did get some. So if you're on the show and oh, nope, sorry, temporarily on back order. So they'll take your money and they put you on back order. But I think honestly, these are going to stay on back order for a long time. This is my top 360 camera recommendation right now. If you don't have the budget, the Insta360 One X is my second recommended camera, and these may be on back order as well. But you'll just have to search around. So the Insta360 One X has great quality. So again, these 360 cameras are going to allow you to create this 360-degree view with minimal effort, which Jake is going to show you, and they're very easy. So this image here is made with a single shot, and the camera literally pushes out a 360 photo, making it possible. Now, the quality is not going to be this good. This is done with the fisheye lens, a Sigma 8, which is a $900 lens, a $400 pano head, and these were hand-stitched. So what you're looking at here is a professionally made 360 photo that you would get from a professional photographer. You're not going to get that quality from a single shot camera. You just won't. It's not going to be quite that good. So this is going to be the high end, and then the Insta360 One X is going to be real high quality for 400 bucks. This camera here is really good. So those are my two picks. The Insta One R is pretty good too, but for 400 bucks, this One X is just a great camera. So move it.
Let me see, Jason. I got another question for you. Joanna wants to know, do you need a special program for your computer to stitch the 360-degree camera to make that kind of video?
No, you don't. So they come out of the camera already stitched. I believe that's true. Jake, is that true? All of the 360 cameras, they come out already stitched into a 360? Jake might have himself muted here.
I got muted by the host, it said. But yes, but the proprietary software, it automatically turns it into a stitched panorama.
Right, yeah, so don't worry, you don't have to buy PT GUI or Microsoft ICE or any photo stitching software or even know how to do it, because it's already part of, it's just part of the firmware in the camera itself. So as a final thought on these virtual tours, I wanted to show you guys something new before I turn it over to Jake to show you how to, I need to cover the Zillow. Sorry, I almost left here. So later last year, Zillow announced their 3D home tour. If you haven't looked at these, you should. If you're using a professional photographer, you should tell them that you want the Zillow 3D home tour. And these get preference on Zillow. That's why I'm showing you these today. I firmly believe that you should be using these. They're easy to capture if you have a Z1 camera, if you have a Theta. They only work with Ricoh. But look at this. Yeah, the quality is, it's okay. Let me see if I can go full screen. There we go. But they put these little dots on the floor. And what I like about it, folks, is, hey, Zillow may not be liked by everyone on this call, but that's where the eyeballs are, and they get a ton of eyeballs and they get a ton of views. And if you do one of these tours on their system, they actually promote your tour. There's a big tour button, so something to think about. I do recommend Zillow 3D tours, and depending on what tour technology you use, you could even have your Zillow tour embedded right into your production. So here is a production with a property website that was done for someone up here in the Traverse City Market, Megan Alvarado. And the virtual tour here is on display, but also we are able to showcase that Zillow 3D home tour. So check that out. That's pretty cool. A lot of technologies will allow you to, once you have a Zillow 3D tour, you can embed it. So a photographer will charge you extra to do a Zillow 3D tour. If you want to do your own with Zillow and buy a Z1 camera, okay, or a Theta 5, you can do your own, and you just download the Zillow app and away you go. But a professional can certainly put these together for you. I think they're great. They work with several virtual tour technologies as an embed like you're seeing here today. It's embedded right into the property website, which I think is fantastic. The other type of embed that I want to show you today, because we all know that Zillow is incredibly popular, and there's definitely merit in having your photographer do a Matterport tour for you. Matterport has gotten really huge. Some of them are done with the $4,000 or $5,000 camera. And now, as of earlier this year, this is crazy, you guys, but you can now use your iPhone for capturing a Matterport. And Matterport is offering this for $10 a month, and you can have up to 5 of your listings. Now, it means that the quality is not as good, but it's definitely not as good, and Frank will probably attest to that. But hey, it still gives you a dollhouse, and for those of you that want to try doing your own, you could try that. The quality, again, is not going to be as crisp and clean, but they did come out with a do-it-yourself product. What you're looking at here is a Matterport tour embedded right into our player at RTV. And again, most virtual tour technologies will allow you to do this embed thing. This isn't something that's exclusive to RTV technology by any means, but it is something that we allow you to do. Very easy, it's cut and paste. What I personally like about this, as a real estate professional, you're typically allowed to put only one non-branded virtual tour link into the MLS. I'm not sure how many you guys allow, Dan. Is it one non-branded tour link or 2?
I'm not sure exactly at this point.
Okay, I'm guessing it's 1. Most of them just allow 1 link to a tour. What this allows you to do as a real estate professional, if you ordered some drone, if you had some still photos, notice how this allows you to let your still photos go with the production. So it's not just the Matterport that's going out to Trulia, Zillow, Movoto, Realtor.com, Homes.com, and all the other sites. It's all of your media for this property is in one place. So embedding that media is really crucial, because you're getting you're getting all of your media out there on all the portal sites and not just the Matterport. So keeping in mind too that your name would go along with that. The final
question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is that
that's
all right?
okay. Yeah.
This is from Kasahun. How does the 3D picture get installed on the listing from the camera?
I'm not sure that I understand the question. So the camera takes the photo, and then the photos are uploaded into a system like ours or Zillow to create just that 360 look.
That might be the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
And then I think, that may be answered when we pass it to Jake here in a couple seconds. As a final thought, you guys, I just wanted to show this one more time, because that kind of came up that, you take the 360 photos and then you upload them. And in the case of Zillow, they just create this production. As a final thought, whatever virtual tour technology you use, a seller's report is vital. And this is something that most systems will generate. And it's going to show you how many views, how many property website views, how many desktop views, how many views from the MLS, how many branded views, non-branded views, and it's going to show all this data, and most of them will share this with you on a weekly basis. This is a great communication tool for you to share with your seller on a weekly basis. The biggest complaint about agents is the same today as it was years ago, and that's they took my listing and I never heard back from them. So use these tools that your virtual tour technology or that your virtual tour provider gives you, and use them as a communication tool to keep the sellers engaged and keep yourself in communication. So, all right, so that's what I've got for my presentation. I'm going to pass it to Jake. I'm way over my time limit. My apologies. Go ahead, Jake, and take it away with 360 imagery and tour building.
Let me just butt in 1 second, and sorry, Jake.
Nope, you're fine.
Just want to inform people, if you raise your hand, it would be much easier if you typed your question in, as opposed to raising your hand. So please type in the question, and that would be very much appreciated. And Jake, from there, it's all yours now.
All right, hello everyone. So let's say that you went out and took a bunch of photos on your one-shot 360 camera. When you return, you would simply just plug in the camera to your computer. And hold on just a sec.
The pictures that we're actually showing today, I believe Jake took with the Insta360 1X that we have at the office. And again, that was about a $400 camera. I think we paid $479 for it about a year ago, and it's down to $400 now.
So on this Insta360 1X, it has an HDR feature where it takes 3 different exposures, and then when you use their proprietary software, which in this case would be Insta360 Studio 2020, it actually does all the stitching for you.
Jake, when you say stitching, are they coming out in 2 halves then, or you mean like merging into a HDR photo?
Both.
Oh, okay. So you do have to use the internal camera application to stitch the photos together, but it just does it automatically.
Correct. So
Okay.
once you load it in here, you'll see that there's actually
Oh, wow. Wow.
all 3 different exposures. I don't know about wait time for the stream here, but does 3 different exposures, and then it is actually processing them right now. As you can see, these are still gray below here.
Mm-hmm. So it's fairly easy to use, the interface that comes with the camera itself?
Oh yeah, it really doesn't have a whole lot of buttons besides just upload. And then once those are all finished, you would just export. Oh, not that export. It looks like I can't do it until this is done. But to save time here, I've already done that. So once you get them all exported, it'll be a lot less files because it's taking 3 files and merging them. And at that point, once you have your files exported, you can simply just upload those to, in our case, the media manager. And then once those are uploaded, like this, is when you can start to work on putting everything together. So I'm going to start.
When what you're seeing here now on Jake's screen is our particular interface, but most of them are fairly similar. Once you upload your photos to your virtual tour platform, they're all going to be fairly similar to what you're seeing here, a way to name them and arrange them.
So, oh, that's not okay. So what you should do is try to shoot in order so you kind of know where your path is going to be. Yeah, there you go, good. So let's say this is my first shot outside of the house, and I know that I'm heading in this direction. Just like we were seeing on the website that Jason was showing us, how they were going through, we were using like a hotspot feature for that type of navigation. So I selected the next pano that I want to go to and saved go ahead.
I was just going to say, when Jake says pano, he means 360 photo,
Yes,
panorama.
correct.
Yep.
And then you select the hotspot that you would like to use, put it in its location, and save that. So now that'll be there. And that'll be leading to the second sphere that we created. So at the second sphere, pano, 361 shot.
So when Jake said to shoot in order, what he's suggesting is that when it is time for you to capture the photos for your listing, try and shoot them in the order that you want them to show up in the production. So that way it's, as you can see, he's just clicking next, next, next. It's a little bit easier. So you're actually creating a pathway with the go button. Now, does it connect to the previous one behind you automatically?
I actually did not do it for the first one, but it will for the second, and I'll show that in just a moment. So I'm going to go back to the first one and create the alternate path. And don't want to do that. So for an example, what we've just done there
Okay, so now you're previewing what you did.
is
Oh.
a little up there a bit. So should have saved.
So I will say too, when you do the Zillow, for those of you that are interested in doing the Zillow home tour, 3D home tour, Zillow says that they put all these in for you, but I will tell you firsthand that they do put in all the little go buttons, or chevrons, they're called, the arrows. But even though they put them in for you, you still have to go back in, and Zillow has an application similar to what you're looking at here, and you have to correct them. They rarely get them all 100% accurate for you. So.
Hi, Jason. While this is going forward, Margie wanted to know what was the name of that $400 camera.
That's the Insta360 1X, and that's INSTA 360 ONEX, and the 1X is all together.
Okie dokie.
The other thing, go ahead, Jake.
No,
that was not me.
Go ahead.
Okay. The other thing that I would say while Jake is doing this, that I failed to mention during the part about the floor plans is getting floor plans is not an easy thing. And one of the companies I do recommend heavily is Kubi.casa, and you can make a floor plan with literally with your cell phone. It's real easy to do. You scan the house, and it for $25 it gives you a floor plan, and those can be uploaded directly into a virtual tour system, and that's www.kubi.casa, C-A-S-A.
Thank you about that. That's really good. We also have a comment and a question. An insightful comment from Michael has said that pictures and videos in a listing are the first open house for potential buyers. So thank you for that. I think that's a very astute comment. Joanna wants to know, how long does it take to put one of these together from start to finish on the camera interface?
I guess, Jake, how long would you say it takes? I mean, obviously, it's going to be based on how many panoramas you take. And I'm a firm believer that you can kind of overdo it. I think I personally feel that having too much can work just as much against you than anything else. And not only from a time standpoint of how long you have to be at the house capturing all the imagery, but also from, I think we're a very fast, we're working in fast pace. We like to slide through things and look quick and make decisions. And so I personally think that you don't need a whole lot of panoramas in each room. I don't think you have to be able to walk every 5 feet. Some people may disagree, and that's fine. The closer your panoramas are together, the more panoramas you have to take. The more you have to take, the more you have to link them together, like what you're seeing Jake do here. So I think 1 or 2 in each room is sufficient, and accompany that with some real nice still photos. And so to give you an idea, Jake, how long would you say it takes to put the hotspots together and do what you're doing? And I guess how many panoramas do you have here and that you're linking together?
I would say that I think that it was a total of 21 panos that I took at this location. And I think it took me about maybe 45 minutes for the shoot.
Okay.
And for as long as it's taking to just put these together, well, we've been watching, so it's been what, like 10 minutes, and I've put almost 10 of them together, 10 minutes tops.
So he's about halfway through. Jake, can we look at, do you have the finished product saved on your computer? So the other thing too is that most companies, and I'll use us as an example, we have real good instruction on how to do what you're seeing Jake do. We've got, of course, tutorials and videos and customer service representatives that take you through this, and any company that you use, I gotta believe they're all going to be very similar. You have to add these little dots in. Now, that being said, there are companies where you don't have to do that. Matterport, for example, will put all of these things in for you using AI. And like I said too, Zillow uses AI and they put them in. However, I know for a fact, speaking firsthand, that you have to make several adjustments to them because they're not pointing in the correct direction. So I guess I would say plan on being at the house for between 30 minutes and 1 hour to capture your imagery. Obviously, that's probably not going to be taking into consideration if you're doing drone. And then I would say plan on at least 30 minutes of building your tour. Does that sound right, Jake?
Yeah, and if you want to do a little bit of touch up, it might take a little bit longer to take out like tripods out of mirrors or add a mirror ball like this. But yeah, generally.
So
and as far as, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead. I was just going to tell what that mirror ball was, what it was for.
I was going to say that I do not have a finished link of this particular tour, but I did give the link to the tour that I am currently creating. And as I'm creating it, people can see the paths. So I've got majority of the downstairs done now.
Okay, so the link is shared on the document that Dan handed out. So those of you can click on that and actually see this tour being built by Jake. So the link is in the handout. And let me look and see what that link was that was provided here.
It's fusion.realtourvision.com.
Fusion Tour. Okay, I left it as Fusion Tour, and so it is fusion.realtourvision.com/542139, and that is under the presenter Jake Mulcahy section of your handout, and it's at the bottom of his section. Also, it's important to know that we have the Insta360 1X link there, and as well as a link to our TV's recommended camera equipment. So in the next section, we're going to have Elizabeth Nixon talk about photography best practices.
Okay, so I can go ahead.
Jake, what else would you have to say? Anything else for how to put together a 360 virtual walkthrough?
I mean, this is pretty bare bones, but like you were showing off earlier, is that you could attach a floor plan to this using, Cubicasa or one that you make yourself,
Mhm.
and you can attach each panorama to it, and then you can see where you are on the map while you're walking through.
Any best practices, Jake, that you would recommend? Calibrating the camera beforehand, making sure you're level. Any little tips for using a 360 camera?
I would say to at least make sure that you check your first shot when you are on a shoot to make sure that you're getting the exposures you want.
Mhm.
Insta360 has a app that goes along with your phone.
Okay.
So you can install that in the App Store, and when you sync it up to your camera, you can actually see the 360 shot on the camera screen. So for example, when I was taking this shot, I was actually hiding behind this corner where the camera
Okay.
couldn't see me, and I could also see how the exposure was going to go through the
Oh,
window
wow.
outside.
Wow. Great. Okay. Well, Jake's going to keep working on that tour. So when you do click on the link, you can check it out. And Jake, you can put some music on there and maybe a
Sure.
narration if you want or anything. And then let's hand it on over to Elizabeth Nixon for photography best practices. And she's got some great tips and tricks today and some nice money savers for those of you looking for affordable photo editing tools and all of that.
Thanks, Jason. Get this going here. Okay, so I'm Beth, and here I am. I'm an account manager at RTV. I'm also a photographer, as well as wear a bunch of hats. But I wanted to just go over with you some best practices for taking your own photos. And so just a couple things wanted to go over with you. So basically, if you don't have a professional photographer, and this is in regards to just still images, so just a single image, not a 360 image like the gentleman we're talking about earlier. So you know, taking really great pictures of the property and using what you have. You know, we have some people that will go out and just use a smartphone, you know, the new iPhone 11, or some may have a standard point and shoot camera, or they might even have a little bit more advanced camera. So you know, just things that you can do with those to help make sure that you are you know, presenting the property at its best. If you have a smartphone, some smartphones, I didn't put it on here, can come with like little adapters and lenses that you can actually put on your phones. I have one for mine. I don't use it for real estate, but you probably could do that as an option. But if you do have your own camera, one thing I would definitely suggest is using a wide angle lens. I put in here example 10 to 24 millimeter lens, and that's a really good standard lens that will help you get, you know, close up images of a tight bathroom or further back images of a full living room space or the exterior of a home. So if you do have the ability to go out and get a camera, there's some pretty affordable cameras, T5 eyes, I don't know if Jason 3 eyes, but I think that's an older one. But definitely cameras that you can use just to go that are a little bit more affordable than some of the higher end cameras. One thing that you can do that's great for either your smartphone or your camera, this is mostly going to be with your camera, is if you're using a digital camera, to use a timer on it. And putting it on a tripod. The timer is going to be so that you can set your camera to take a picture in maybe 2 seconds or 10 seconds, however much time you need. And that allows you to take your hands off the camera so that the camera can take a picture and, you know, your hand isn't pushing down on it and making the image look blurry or seem like it's moving.
That's a good tip.
Mm-hmm. So in here, I put this little link I'll show you here. So this is something that I just kind of found online for people who are possibly using their phones and or like a smaller camera. I found this like really great, good reviews for a tripod, which would be fantastic for, you know, if you've got to do something quick and on the go. It's easily taken with you, but just wanted to put this here so it's really affordable. You can always spend, you know, as much as what you want or as little as what you want, but I thought this one was a good alternative because it shows that it can do both the cell phone as well as a digital camera. But yep, you always want to make sure that you are using a tripod if you're going out and taking pictures, because it just makes sure that your images get really well in focus, are extremely sharp. And reduces that camera shake or blur. Another thing to just help improve your images is the composition of your images, the way that they look. I've got these two little pictures. I actually took those with my cell phone yesterday just as an example of, okay, I'm just quickly walking by this building, which has an X on it because it looks like the building is just kind of flying away, and then an image to the right, which has a very nice composition of image. So composition is just a very visually pleasing image. And so that is one thing that will definitely make or break an image, is just making sure that you have, you know, a good sense of what the property is. For our player, if you are shooting still images or if you're uploading some images into it, one thing to note is that horizontal images work best for our player. You can take vertical images, but it doesn't do as well. I suggest to people definitely take horizontal images. It's going to
I've noticed
present
that
the
with,
image the best.
and I've noticed that with a lot of the tour platforms, Paradigm and some of the others. You know, the horizontal photos definitely play back and seem to look better than the
Yes.
verticals.
Yep, and they're more universal for, I think, a lot of programs.
True.
And so what I think here, I put this up here. So basic edits that you can do to help improve your photos. You can, if you need to, on your phone, smartphone, if you have it, there is I know when I go back and look at my pictures, I can actually go back and make little editing adjustments, which I do all the time. So that's an option. But one thing that I put up here, I put a picture of here. I think that this is a great tool that's actually pretty easy to use, that will do so much for you if you were to shoot your own pictures. It's called Lightroom, and it is an Adobe program. But in this program, you can do all sorts of things to just really enhance your imagery. You can brighten images, darken them if you took a picture and it's just too bright. You can adjust the colors of your photo, make sure your photos are straight, and then you can crop out, you know, certain areas of an image if it's undesired, and sharpen your photos. But it's a really great tool, and I think it's really easy to learn, and there's a ton of free YouTube tutorials online when I was first learning this program that teach you so much. And I think once you do learn it, it's phenomenal. But I'm gonna go here. Another thing that you can use if you're taking your own pictures, I did put on here is GIMP. It's a free editing software, and there is a link here which you'll have access to. And it's just for, you know, small, simple things. You can adjust color on here and crop an image and rotate an image, and that's all completely free. I was testing it out a little bit yesterday. I know Jason uses that program a lot, but I
My
was actually,
mother, I introduced that to my mother at after a family reunion, and she absolutely loves it, and it's real easy to use. So it's a great program. Yes.
it is. And even when I was just playing around with it yesterday, I wasn't really sure how to use it very much, and I went onto YouTube and found some tutorials to show me where some of the buttons were, how to rotate or how to crop. So it's great. I also put on here Adobe Lightroom, which is the one that I mentioned. It's a low-cost photo editing program, so you can edit your own photos. It's absolutely great. $9.99 a month through Adobe, but it can do so much for your images, and you know, help help you just make little tweaks to your imagery after you've taken your photos. And again, I put on here, you can find lots of free videos on YouTube that help with both of those programs. There's endless YouTube tutorials. But you know, again, there also is, if you just prefer not to edit your images. My cousin is a real estate agent, and I'm a photographer, but he always wants to take his own, or I'm sorry, that came out wrong. I don't know, I'm backwards. But say you don't have time to edit, an alternative option too is you can always outsource your editing. So say you take some pictures of a house, but you just don't have time to make little tweaks to the images or make, you know, adjust the colors or rotate them or anything. You know, a local photographer or outsource to somebody who can do those for you, you know, for a really good price. That, I think, one thing is just a great alternative to help you save time and money if you want to just go out and go sell. So that's about it. And for me, I'm not sure if anybody has any questions. I talk really fast.
No
Awesome.
questions at this point, but that's been very informative. And as a someone who likes to take his own photographs, I enjoyed your tips, and I actually wrote down the Lightroom tip to use because I have the Creative Suite, but I haven't used Lightroom yet. So thank you very much, Beth.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And thank you. Turn it over back to you. No questions at this point.
All right, Beth, thank you very much. And there were some recommendations there that Beth had, and those are all on her in her section of the handout. We'll hand it over now to Frank Polly, who is a professional real estate photographer, aerial drone pilot, Matterport. Help me out, Frank. I think you're Matterport as well.
Yeah. Oh, yes,
Okay.
I am.
Frank's been with RTV for many years, switched virtual tour providers maybe 5 years ago, came over to RTV, and we've been working alongside of him ever since. So take it away, Frank.
Hey, hello everyone, and happy Friday to you. I know we don't have much time here, so I'll make it quick, but I've just got to agree with Jason. I've been in this business now for, it'll be 21 years in July. And we started off shooting the iPix virtual tours, which were the fisheye lenses. And we've always been full service providers. And we started doing still photography. And we went through a couple hosting companies. They kind of came and went, as well as iPix and some other virtual tour providers. But running into RTV was the best thing that ever happened to our business. The ability to go ahead and be able to put not only your photos and your floor plans, but be able to put video and aerial video on there, and now putting the Matterport 3D tours and set them all up so that the realtor doesn't have to do anything other than share a link and push play and sit back and watch it, I think is one of the best things that has happened in this business here. So this is my website, Nova Virtual Tours. And I've got a couple of samples I'm going to show you. I've done a lot of Matterport now. I shoot for Marriott. I shoot for Cushman & Wakefield. I shoot for all brokers. I've established some great relationships over the years. And I was married to a realtor for 23 years. She was the top producing realtor. And the difference between her and some of the other realtor friends I have that are into photography and they're more do-it-yourself and they only do maybe one listing a month is that she did not have time to do anything. So I did everything for her, or a company such as mine would do everything for her. If you're a realtor, such as a couple friends of mine, they are photographers as well. They like to do their own photography, and they have the time to go ahead and put everything together in these different formats. Then, you know, all the power to them. But what we've been doing a lot of lately, especially with the environment that we're in right now, is these Matterport 3D tours. And the ability to be able to embed a 3D tour in with your photos on that slideshow in the RTV template is just phenomenal. And to be able to begin with an aerial video, here's another one here. So what I did with this one here is I have an aerial video that I started it off with. This is in Reston. And then we switch over to the 3D tour. And basically on this one, they didn't want any still photos because the 3D tour and the aerials pretty much showed everything that they wanted to show. So like I said, we're cutting it close here. If you guys have any questions and you want to reach out to me, all my information's on the website. But basically what you should be doing is looking for a full service provider that is established and that responds back to you quickly. And basically what we do is we have a guarantee that we have everything delivered, those still photos, the Matterport tour, everything within 24 hours. So anyhow, not to go any closer to 2 o'clock, I think I'll just leave it right there.
Frank?
Well, I have a question for you, Frank. What if you're looking for a full service provider? You know, what are some of the things that you should look for? And you mentioned turnaround time. You know, if someone's booking, what's acceptable? A week out, 2 weeks out, or what's unacceptable?
Well, I think that all depends on your schedule. Of course, I like to have a few days, but it's a funny business. I mean, I can look at next week right now and I see I've got 3 jobs that are scheduled. And by Sunday, most of that week will be all filled up. So I know that realtors are a lot more last minute than commercial. So, I mean, if you want to give, you know, to be comfortable a week, sure, would be great. But that's just not the reality of the way real estate works sometimes. You go on a listing appointment and somebody says, well, can you get it on the market tomorrow? Then you want to have somebody that's going to be available or flexible enough to be able to at least get it to you for you in the next couple of days. When I started this business, I started it with a sense of urgency, meaning that I don't sit around on anything. Any job that comes to me, you know, once I've been assigned the job and that mission, I get it done and I get it behind me and move on. And so I think that there's a few companies out there I've heard some complaints about, and I don't know if they're just too busy or if they just, it's not important to them, you know, for fast turnover. I think that being able to talk to someone, maybe get some references, that helps a lot. I've never done any marketing or advertising for 20 years, and I am busy through the roof. And it's all based on referrals.
Yeah, a lot of it's word of mouth. I guess one last question that probably everybody wants to know is, Frank, what should they look like? What should they look for in terms of price? What is a basic photo shoot going to average out there? I know that you can only speak for yourself, but there's a lot of providers. What's the average for just, hey, give me 25 still photos. Hey, give me everything. I want drone. I want Matterport. I want a property website.
So what I did is I did something pretty unique here when I started doing the Matterport tours, because it got to where it was so expensive ordering a Matterport tour, getting your still photos, floor plans, everything. And so what we did is, I created what's called a supernova tour. And so you basically just do your square feet and it tells you what the prices start at. The supernova tour I have includes a 3D tour along with your floor plans, and we embed that all in with your photos and any other video that we'll be doing into that virtual tour. So if you look at my price, and it starts at $300, and that's including everything. And then I go $50 up every 1,000 square feet. Now, if you want just a 3D tour, we also have an a la carte, which is basically $100 less than those supernova tours. And that's just a 3D tour. And then you can also order a floor plan a la carte on top of that.
Hello,
So
Frank.
one more thing. I know that with me being married to a realtor all these years and having so many friends that are realtors, I've always tried to be as competitive as possible, you know, without going way too cheap. So I know that my prices are probably pretty middle of the road. And I know that there's some real expensive companies out there as well. So I guess you just got to kind of shop around and talk to other realtors, see who's using what. And I guess also it depends on how urgent, you know, you need a job done as to the lengths that you're going to go to or what you're going to pay for it and who you're going to hire.
All right.
For you, Frank, for our members, if you're hired by an agent to do photography for them,
Yep.
What practices are you putting in place just for COVID-19?
Okay, so we have a vlog that's been going out to realtors as well, and kind of just giving them a little checklist. But basically, I'm doing a lot of shooting myself still. I wear gloves, I take a mask. I would rather not have to wear a mask because I have glasses. But if there's anybody around, it all depends on their comfort level. You know, this morning I shot a job, and the lady that was there, she told me, you don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to. And so I still wore gloves, and I didn't have to touch anything. So what I like a realtor to do is make sure that all the lights are turned on, toilet seats are down, fans are off, all lamps too are on. Basically, I want to touch the minimum amount of buttons that I have to touch. And then I'm also requesting as well that no one's in the home, that they clear out. There's some realtors I know that are adamant about being there, and that's fine, but I'm giving everyone, you know, the option by my request to please just vacate the property. It also makes it pretty much a lot easier to shoot these 3D tours when you don't have people running around in the scenes. You have to keep reshooting, you know, and there's animals. So basically it's just turn on all the lights, have everything nice and clean. We can't Photoshop anything out of 3D tours, and just give me the space and let us get in there and get out.
And social distancing is obviously at the forefront of all of that. I gotta believe. Yep.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yep.
I wait outside. If somebody's at the house, I'll wait outside. I'll wait out front for them, you know, to leave. It all depends on their comfort level. You know, I mean, obviously states are going to different rates here with their phase 1 and phase 2 opening. But I know with our state right now, Virginia, and I believe Maryland's the same, that you're starting to where you have to wear masks into any enclosed area, stores, whatever it may be, where there's other people. And, you know, I'll do that too. So it all depends. If somebody's not there, then I'll pull the mask down so I can breathe and not fog up my glasses. But I keep clean. I've got all kinds of sanitizer, wipes, everything. I mean, I'm taking this very serious, as I know personally, a very good friend and former Marine as well, last Thursday passed away from this COVID-19.
Oh.
Just saw him 2 months ago shooting Office Spaces with him. And he was talking about how, you know, I'm not worried about this. I'm not wearing a mask anywhere. Well, he spent 5 days in the hospital last week and died on Thursday night. And so it's not to be taken lightly. I know that's not affecting everyone, but there's people out there that you have to be careful and you have to respect their space and respect, you know, what their wishes are.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for such an informative, information-packed, really well thought out tour of virtual tours. And I want to remind our participants, our attendees who are listening today, this is being recorded and soon it will be shared and put on our YouTube channel as well as on our website at marylandrealtor.org. Jason has also been kind enough, as he mentioned, to supply a PDF which has links to many of these tours that you can watch at your own leisure, your own comfort. That will be going on the site as well. But if you need it sooner than that, by all means, email me at dan.patrell, Patrell, at marylandrealtor.org, and I will get that PDF out to you once I get your email. Again, Jason, Jake, Beth, Frank, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yep, feel free to reach out with any questions.
You got it.
Great weekend.
Okay.
Yep, bye, everybody.
Bye to you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.